In our ICO, we raised 148,000 Ether, which was then worth $33 million. It was one of the biggest ICO at that time. Yeah, it was a very successful one. Actually, we were very proud of it, but everyone needs to remember that the hard work starts when you have the money and you have the funds.
Hi, welcome to Engineering a Startup. My name is Akash Goyal, and basically I'm on a journey to build my own startup, and I'm learning how to do that by talking to people who really have done amazing things in the world of startups, like today's guest, Ophir Gertner. Like you heard, his company Stox raised $33 million in their ICO, or initial coin offering. And it's really amazing what he's built and all of the things that are being built currently on the blockchain. Throughout our discussion, Ophir tries to explain to me, everything about how the blockchain works, how cryptocurrency work, how ICOs work, and it's really, really interesting, really good stuff to know, I think, as this becomes more and more prominent in the world. Ophir is also a really incredible guy. He's been building startups for 20 years. He started out building a startup for finding roommates, went on to create a website called Investcalm, and now he's created Stox, which is basically a startup in the space of prediction markets, where you crowdfund answers to questions based on the blockchain. It's really, really cool, and it was amazing hearing Ophir describe it. One note, the audio quality is not fantastic, just by virtue of the fact of the connection between me in Toronto and Ophir in Tel Aviv, but I really hope that the content makes up for it. So, without further ado, please welcome Ophir.
Hi, my name is Ophir Gertner. I'm 40 years old. I've been an entrepreneur in the past 20 years of my life, dealing with fintech, mostly financial technologies, and internet. I've been living in Europe in the past 8 years, and now I'm living in Tel Aviv, Israel, where is the startup nation country. I'm very enthusiastic from technology and startup, and that's it. That's me.
So, how did you get started in entrepreneurship? 20 years ago.
Well, I guess this is something that runs in your blood. I've always wanted to very much to initiate something of my own. I had very good friends that we thought of building something that involves technology and also internet, which we found fascinating, doing something international. And, just by speaking with your friend, discussing with your colleagues, and you think of an idea, and it came kind of natural to start a business, ideas that we have together, that we had, but of course it's not as easy to make it happen as you think, and those are the challenges.
What idea did you and your friends come up with?
Well, the first main one was a website for real estate sharing, roommates to share rooms. I was dealing a bit with real estate renting and renovation, and my friend and I understood and found out that there is a big demand for people to share rooms, and we built a website that people can introduce themselves, speak a bit of what they like and their interests and what they dislike or hobbies and so on. And by that they can join together to find an apartment that will suit them both or three of them and so on. It was a website called Roommate Budapest, and this was basically my first internet startup.
Yeah, so it's now turned into RoomatUK, is that?
Correct, yeah. We also established another one in the UK. It's called also RoomatUK, and we had an intention to make it a worldwide brand, but It's not there yet. Hopefully soon.
So, the hardest part of starting something like Roommates Budapest would be, I imagine, like, you need people on the platform who are looking for apartments, and at the same time you need people who are listing their apartment, and you deal with that problem of, unless you have one, you can't create value for the other. So how did you guys overcome that?
Well, whenever you build a marketplace, it's really on supply and demand, and you need both sides, as you mentioned, in order to create value for both people from both sides. So what actually we did is that we went to real estate companies. We tried from that point with a little, or we thought it's a little effort to bring more supply. And then we did some marketing and B2C we approached consumer and the end users in order to bring them to the platform. We always try to look at the best way to bring a majority of people. And this is why we partnered with some party people or places where they held events for students. This was an easier way to approach many people at one time. Because at the end, and I see it in all of my startups and all of the company that I was involved in, or I am involved in, marketing is the name of the game. You can think of a very good product, very interesting and unique, but without clients, without audience, it's very difficult. So, marketing is very important.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think especially when you're technical minded or like engineer, you don't really appreciate how difficult the marketing is.
I totally agree. When establishing a company, you need to have a CEO. If it's a technical company, then of course a CTO or a technical-oriented guy, but you have to have always also a marketing person. So that's something to consider to everyone who wants to establish a startup.
Do you have any thoughts on like how startups can, effectively market themselves? Like you said, for your website, you guys would attend events where there were lots of students. So it was a great way to reach lots of people at once.
It really depends on your product, because the product sets the audience that you need to approach, and that way you know how to do that. But if you have a creative mind and you understand the need of your clients or future clients, then this is how you need to attack and to understand where they're located, how can you attract their attention, find some influencers that you can approach one, but they have a very big network to spread your idea or your product. But it is very much actually depend on the product itself. Of course, growth, if you have a limited budget, then growth hacking is very important. It's something that you can either do by yourself, go into blogs, spread the links to your platform or to your product, and by that try to, through influencer and people that have a bigger network than yourself, try to spread your ID, product, company, etc.
Okay, so now let's fast forward to today. What are you working on now?
So after more than 10 years in the fintech industry, I got fascinated with blockchain, which is a very new technology and kind of new actually. It's already more than 9 years, but still not too many people know about it or used it for certain things. And now, also because of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies and the hype that is currently happening, it came much more into the acknowledgement of people. I myself found it very interesting, and in the past year I've been exploring it, thinking about it, and almost spending 100% of my time in the past 7 months when myself and my team established, I co-founded actually a company called Stox, which we have did a successful ICO, which is called Initial Coin Offering, where we initiated our own coin for the platform that we are building now, coin that is called STX. And now we are working hard into building the platform, increasing the user base, and developing the product.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's awesome. So how much did you raise in your ICO?
In our ICO, we raised 148,000 Ether, which was then worth $33 million. It was one of the biggest ICO at that time. Yeah, it was a very successful one. Actually, we were very proud of it, and but everyone needs to remember that the hard work starts when you have the money and you have the funds. Now, and so now it's the difficult time when you need to build the product, hold on to your promises, and that's the most, for me, also interesting time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sounds very exciting too. But
yeah, indeed.
For someone like me, or I don't know, I'm sure there's a lot of people who don't really fully understand blockchain. How would you explain what blockchain is?
Well, blockchain is it's a very complex technology. I'll try to touch it in few words. It's a decentralized ledger. Let's say that until now we used to have a network of computers when there was one centralized computer, one centralized company that was controlling all of the database and all of the information. What actually blockchain says or means is that now there's a network of computers. Each participant in the network is a node, and each node holds the data that all of the other have as well. And when they reach a consensus of the same data, then this data is registered in the blockchain, actually being broadcasted to the whole network, and then it is called a block, and this block is now sealed and locked, and a new block immediately after it becomes or start to be written. Actually, let's start again by asking about blockchain, because I have it. I need to translate it to myself in my mind.
Yeah, absolutely. So, in a relatively simple way, how would you explain to someone what blockchain is?
Blockchain is a digital ledger. Okay, if until now we were used to a network that we had one person or one computer which controlled the whole network and was registering the ledger and keeping the ledger in this network. Now there is a new form where all the participants in the network, all the computers that are participating in the network, are nodes that contributing to the network itself. Those computers are registering each transaction or each action that happens in the network by themselves and broadcasting it to the general network. And when they reach a consensus about a certain transaction, then everyone is registering it, sealing it inside the network, and by that they are actually forming a block.
Each transaction is a block?
Each set of transactions is considered as a block, correct, the moment they are sealed, and after one block is sealed, then immediately after it there is another block that is being registered by all the computer, and the way to seal each block is by a very strong crypto password, which is also dependent on the previous block. This way it is formed a kind of a chain. That hence comes the name blockchain, because each block is compiled of the previous block password, and therefore it is very secure. It's a disruptive technology because you do not need anymore a supervisor or a regulator or someone to control this network. And it is secured by design because those blocks are very secured and very difficult password to hack into them. It's a peer-to-peer technology where each computer can interact with the other computer without the interaction or without any interference of a third party. And it's a transparent technology because it's an open source. And that's what makes it so unique and appealing.
Yeah. That's really interesting. Like, it's starting to make sense.
Yeah,
So then,
it's not easy to understand it, and we need to remember that the blockchain is a complex technology, and I kind of try to try to explain it that the blockchain is very similar to an operating system, like an Android, and each coin that we know today, like Bitcoin or Ethereum or other coins, are like an app on this certain operating system.
So, when people hear about blockchain, for most people, they immediately jump to cryptocurrencies. So how do cryptocurrencies play into that blockchain that you just described?
Well, as I described, the nodes in the network are computers that are contributing to the network. And for them to contribute, they need to contribute computing power, CPU, electricity, effort. Now, in order to incentivize them to do so and to motivate them, they are able to mine coins in this network. As much as they contribute more, they are able to mine more coins, and those coins, cryptocurrency, are actually their benefit for the contribution. And this is the main idea behind the blockchain, so that computers will have some incentive, and those coins will incentivize them to participate more in the network. Now, there are many kinds of cryptocurrencies. For each blockchain network, and there are many different networks, there is a different cryptocurrency. For example, the most well-known is Bitcoin, which is on the Bitcoin blockchain network. There are others such like Ethereum, and there are also tokens, which are cryptocurrency that are placed on another blockchain network, such as Ethereum, which has many tokens built on top of it.
Interesting. So then what controls the supply of a cryptocurrency? Because wouldn't it over time just continue to grow as people continue to mine it?
Each and every blockchain network has its own mining algorithm. For example, in Bitcoin network, the mining algorithm is set that every year the amount of Bitcoin is decreased by half. Other Bitcoin networks have different mining algorithms on their usage and their concept. There is a concept which is called the proof of work. There is a concept called proof of hold or proof of stake. And those algorithms set the mining possibilities.
Interesting. So then, now, what is your startup, Stox? What does it do?
Well, Stox is a startup in the space of prediction market. Prediction market is very similar to trading on events. We hope and we try that each and every one of the participants in Stox will be able to open prediction, which actually means to ask a general question with one outcome and try to receive from the crowd and use the wisdom of the crowd in order to predict what will be the outcome. For example, if I would like to know what is the Bitcoin price in 30 days, I can place a prediction, ask the crowd if you think that Bitcoin will increase in 20% or will decrease from the current price and so on. And then participants in Stox platform can place their own thoughts through with the coin, with the STX coin, actually even predict if it will go up or down and so on according to the question. And then as the placer of the prediction can receive or can understand and know what the crowd thinks. And from a lot of researchers and other places, we know that crowd wisdom is actually the most accurate outcome, usually. And this is what we aim to bring, a tool for crowd wisdom, for people and companies, and to use the crowd wisdom in order to predict events and outcomes. Every participant can actually win. If he was correct, he can win certain amount of coins according to his prediction.
Interesting. And you have to, if you get it wrong, you lose a certain amount of coin?
Exactly. This is why we do it with crypto coins, because we know that prediction will be more accurate if people will risk something. And because of the blockchain network, it can be confidential. It can involve some kind of risk of certain coins. And it is transparent, and everything is done through smart contracts on the blockchain, which is very unique and also easy to use interface that we built, but very attractive to the participant as well.
Yeah. Yeah, that combination of confidentiality and transparency is really pretty interesting.
Correct. This is one of the characteristics of the blockchain, which makes it very interesting and also relevant to many industries.
Yeah. So how did you and your team come up with this idea for Stox? You know, you got interested in blockchain at some point, and then where did this idea come from?
Well, there were some similar platforms of prediction markets, not in the blockchain space, which we knew before. My team, I also initiated a company 3.5 years ago named Investcalm, which is dealing with online trading, financial trading. And we had the team have a trading background, online trading background. And when we learned blockchain more and we got more into it, we also found few other companies that already tried to develop prediction market on blockchain. We found it very interesting. These are very interesting companies as well that were quite successful. And we thought that by bringing our advantages from the online trading, from the financial trading, we can bring an added value to this space.
Yeah, that's really cool. So what is Invest.com? It's it's a great domain name. I'm surprised you guys managed to get that. But...
Yeah. Yes, thank you. Invest.com is an online financial service provider which works in Europe under the MiFID regulation, provides services to European residents, and it provides several different services such as online trading platform for equities, currencies, and other commodities as well, and also robo-advisor for automated portfolio management tools.
Interesting.
But Invest.com is not a decentralized company and not on blockchain yet.
Right. Sounds like you'll get it there, though.
Perhaps.
So really the idea is to provide kind of portfolio management services to people in an accessible way? Or is
Correct,
that?
exactly that. Portfolio management services and tools for mass production, because there are many people out there that cannot go to a wealth manager or cannot get really good advice on financial products because they don't have enough money to cross the barrier.
Mm-hmm.
And we try to democratize those things and try to give financial opportunities, hopefully to everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Currently, today, I'm also advising other startups, other blockchain companies, or any company that want to go into the blockchain space and do not know exactly how to build their business model or how to implement token economy and token usages to their model, which is a different concept because until now companies only thought of the profit that they should be making. While in the blockchain space, companies should think more of how to build a community, to use their product, to use their token, and by increasing the usage of the token, they actually increase the value of the economy. And therefore, the value of the token is increased, and it's a win-win for everyone. So it's a different kind of concept where I actually find it fascinating and much more appealing when it plays for the benefit of everyone, the users and the people who build the company, because it aligns all the interests and not only bringing profit for the owners.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So I think like in part of this whole thing about, building on the blockchain is that idea of ICOs, which has become really popular recently. So I wonder if you could just talk about like how do you execute an ICO and what was it like for Stox?
Well, ICO starts from an ID which has relevance to blockchain technology and which could contribute to the community, to the blockchain community. And when you have this idea, when you think of what you want to create, and you know when you think that a token or a coin that is built on that blockchain network could assist you and could be a very important tool in this network, then you are able to go for an ICO, which is very similar to crowdfunding. You are actually approaching a community of people, usually the crypto community, and ask them to contribute to a project that you want to develop. Now there's a set of things that you need to do, starting from a white paper, which is usually a technical paper that describes the project, describes the technology, the team, how are you going. It's very simple or very similar to a business plan in a form of a white paper, which is a known and well-known concept in the crypto world. And then you'll have to present or try to market, do some online marketing, offline marketing, try to bring a community of people, build your own community for the project in order to support you and hopefully contribute later on. And as much as you're open, transparent, put your community in front and try to build with them the product, consult with them, then there's bigger chance that crowd sale will be successful. After dealing with some cybersecurity issues, preparations, and wallets that you need to open in order to receive the funds, and prepare some mechanism for the ICO, you need to decide on how many coins you want to create and how much you want to sell and how will the crowd sale look like. There are many decisions to take in this process. And after that, you can go or you start to initiate the public sale. And if you've created a very good community and lots of supporters, then many people hopefully will contribute to this project through. They will transfer you cryptocurrencies, usually Bitcoin or Ether, and you will grant them with the tokens for your project, with the coins for your project, and they will be able in the future to use those coins to participate in the or to buy the product that you've built.
That's
Was it clear or?
Yeah, no, it makes sense, but just the kind of scale that you executed it on seems incredible.
Yes, I think it's a bit overhyped these days, and everyone is still, or let's say, few months ago it was much easier. There were less projects out there, so it was on one hand easier, on the other hand less crypto money or crypto coins were out there. And these days there are many ICOs, so you need to rise above the noise and do a lot of online marketing, build your own community very fast, and make it as big community as you can, because they will be your supporters. And it becomes much difficult. You need to make sure that the coin or the token that you built is not a security, because then you fall under a different regulation. And it is very wise and preferable to use lawyers and to put them in or use them through all the process in order to get the best advice while doing it.
So, what do you think of the kind of volatility that seems to exist in the cryptocurrency market right now?
I believe that this volatility is not that good for the crypto environment. It shows unstable environment yet, and it is too much influenced by news and sometimes even not real or unreal news, which create a very unstable environment. I do think that as time goes by, it will be more stable and less dependent on unreliable news, but it will take some time. So far, it's very dangerous time to invest in cryptocurrencies. Either you need to know very well what you are doing, or just be aware that there is a very high risk to lose money as well. And I wouldn't recommend it to everyone to step into that.
Awesome. This has been really, really interesting. I think it really will help make it clear for a lot of other people. But so just to, I guess, move towards closing this, the one question I like to ask everyone at the end is, if you were talking to someone who was thinking about getting into entrepreneurship or interested in starting a startup, what one thing would you want to tell them?
Well, I would suggest everyone to think really hard if it's in his blood to be an entrepreneur. If he can receive a lot of no's and still continue with his mindset and with his idea. And if so, then I would recommend everyone that thinks so to try and to have such an experience, because you can gain a lot from it. But still, be ready for failures and don't be disappointed, because we hear a lot about success and a lot of good projects, but in between many things are failing. People do not speak about them and do not mention them. But there is no success without few failures before. So keep that in mind and just keep going.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you, Ophir. Is there anything else you wanted to kind of share or tell people before we kind of sign off?
No, I would recommend everyone who thinks about blockchain and is interested from or about cryptocurrencies to read a lot. There's a lot of material about it to understand much more before you step into it and buy. It is also a very, as I mentioned, very risky period for cryptocurrencies, but as much as you gain more knowledge, then you have more chances for success.
That's it for this podcast. Thank you so much for listening, and thank you, Ophir, for taking the time to share your story. One of the things that Ophir said that really stood out to me was the idea that a blockchain startup is not built on trying to figure out how you can make a profit, but more about building a community around your token. Because, the more people who are using your token, the more the value of the token increases, and the value of the economy around that token increases. And if the value of the token increases, that means the value of your company increases. And I think this is becoming a recurring theme with the guests, where it's all about creating value. If you can figure out how to create value, there's no way you're not going to make money. So, yeah. Anyways, as always, if you have any questions, comments, concerns about the podcast, if you want to be on the podcast, please check out enginehiringstartup.com. You can also reach out on Twitter at enginehire and on Facebook at enginehire. And, in case you're wondering how you can help support the show, I think the best way to do that is to tell a friend about it. If you have a friend who's trying to figure out how to build a blockchain startup, share this podcast with them. Thanks again for listening, and until next time, keep thinking. What will you create?